Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the September 4th, 2024 meeting of the Daytona Beach City Commission. We're delighted to have each of you with us this evening. Madam Clerk, may we please have a roll call?
Commissioner May. Here. Commissioner Cantu.
Here.
Commissioner Henry.
Here.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Commissioner Paris.
Here.
Commissioner Strickland.
Here.
Mayor Derek L. Henry.
Here.
We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the August 7th, 2024 City Commission meeting.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Agenda changes.
The agenda approval, if we have any changes to our agenda, our city manager will address them at this time.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, we're adding National Suicide Prevention Week proclamation. We're pulling item 8C, the Finance Department, Police Department flooding insurance settlement, and moving to the September 18, 2024 City Commission meeting. Adding item 8N, Parks and Recreation Department Mayor's Math Bootcamp Fall Program. Add item 8O, $250 to Westside Elementary School for positive behavioral intervention and support from the Bike Week sponsorship funds of Mayor Derek L. Henry. Add item 11B, Economic and Strategic Opportunities Department BCU Biketoberfest Master Plan application. That concludes the changes for the agenda.
I move to accept the agenda with the said changes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 6, which is our presentation. And item 6A is a proclamation presented by Mayor Derek L. Henry to the family of Gus Osta.
In memory of Ghazi Gus Osta. Do we have other family members?
We have the hero.
We have the hero's son.
Michael.
Let me begin by saying that we wish that we were not here for this occasion.
I agree.
But let me also say that because we are here for this occasion, that we, I believe, as a commission and certainly as a community, believe that the life that Gus lived is one that is certainly worthy of the mantra, living the American dream. And so because he lived the American dream, we as a city are proud to share this proclamation with you all and to express not only our condolences, but, our congratulations to you as we express our appreciation for the time we as a community had him. And so we are expressing to you that we're thankful. We value business. We value entrepreneurship. We value grit and drive and persistence. And these are all things that he lived and he practiced on a day-to-day basis. And there are things that we encourage and we welcome in the city of Daytona Beach. And so because we welcome that, I think that the best thing that we can say before I read the proclamation is that that is a spirit that we will continue to fight for as a community and as a commission, and we will continue to encourage. So our proclamation reads, Ghazi Osta, also known as Gus or Boo Boo, to those who knew him and knew him well, was a fixture in the Daytona Beach community. Whereas born in Lebanon in 1956, he fought in the Lebanese Civil War as a sniper before immigrating to the United States in 1977. And whereas Gus sought the American dream, he married Lori Leah Osta on December 22nd, 1984. And together they started Volusia Gold and Diamond in 1986. And whereas over 38 years he ran Volusia Gold and Diamond, he won countless awards and recognition for great customer service, best deals in town, and of course, best Rolex selection. When you walked into the store, you were greeted by Gus and immediately felt his warmth and generosity. He went above and beyond to make sure his customers always left satisfied. And whereas Gus loved his community, and they loved him back, he was a loving father, cherished husband, and a benevolent brother. He was a kind and generous friend to all. He had the soul of a lion, and he mentored so many within our community. And whereas on July 19th, 2024, Gus was tragically shot and killed at the store he loved so very much. Left to carry on his legacy is his wife, Leah, and his children, Sienna Oster, Esquire, David Michael Oster, Pavilia Oster, and Fiona Oster. Now, therefore, I, Derek L. Henry, Mayor of the City of Daytona Beach, Florida, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim September 4th, 2024 as Gazi Gus Oster Day in the city of Daytona Beach, Florida, and hope that the memories of his exceptional life will provide comfort to you and the community. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Daytona Beach, Florida, to be affixed this 4th day of September 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And
And I'd like to thank Mayor Henry and all of you for, I think this is something that we've heard about, we've read about, we've seen, and the tragedy, the evil, cowardly act that had caused this tragedy, and what we had, the chaos that we have lived in since. My son, David Michael, neutralized the assailant and is carrying on in his father's. He's carrying on. And Volusia Gold and Diamond will continue. It will continue from this, and we will be stronger, and we will be courageous as we have been since July 19th. Thank you.
We'll take a few photos. We'll take a few photos. Before we take a few photos, I would like to say that one thing that I don't think that the proclamation highlighted was the fact that Gus saved the assailant's life twice. Not once, but twice. And for me, when I listened to your interview, I was just blown away by that, by the senseless nature of it, but also his depth of compassion. He went way out of his way to look out for another. And that kindness was not returned. But I say, as I say to our community, and I say to this family, and I say to this commission, and to all who are under the sound of my voice, that as a community, we must embrace what Gus left us, which was a legacy of love and compassion. And that is what we will embrace, and that is what we want Daytona Beach to be known for. And his spirit will live as long as we are a great American city. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Here, okay, let's,
There you are. Yes.
okay. Now, is there anything else you all would like to do, a photo? Nothing else? Thank you. And if I can do anything, you all.
And we're going to move on to our second presentation, which is for the National Suicide Prevention Month.
Is there anyone here for this?
It is not, you're going to give it to us.
So hand it to you, I gotta
Yeah.
read it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll go down.
National Suicide Prevention Week. Whereas suicide affects individuals of all ages, genders, and backgrounds in the United States and around the world. And whereas each year countless families, friends, and communities are devastated by the loss of loved ones to suicide. And whereas suicide is preventable, and it is vital to raise awareness about mental health issues, reduce the stigma associated with seeking help, and provide support and resources for those in need. And whereas Suicide Prevention Week is an opportunity to come together as a community to foster understanding, compassion, and support for individuals who may be struggling with thoughts of suicide or who have been affected by suicide. And whereas we recognize the importance of education, outreach, and support in preventing suicide and promoting mental health and wellness. And whereas organizations, mental health professionals, and volunteers are dedicated to providing resources, support, and hope to those in need, working tirelessly to reduce the rates of suicide and save lives. And whereas it is our collective responsibility as a community to encourage open conversations about mental health, provide resources and support, and stand together in the fight against suicide. Now, therefore, I, Derek L. Henry, Mayor of the City of Daytona Beach, on behalf of the City Commission and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby proclaim September 8th to the 14th as 2024 as National Suicide Prevention Week. Thank you.
And for the record, on our city's website, we have under the city highlights page, there is information on September on the National Suicide Prevention Month. We have links to the Florida Department of Health and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and the Veterans Crisis Line. So you are not alone. Help is available. And if you're experiencing difficult thoughts, please call 988 or 911.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to item number 7, which is our citizen comments. During this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the City Commission on any item on the consent agenda. And I have one speaker, Mr. Frederick Brown.
Kristen Ridge, Daytona Beach. There's one thing that you'll be voting on today, the most important thing you've voted on in the last 3 years, since thousands of residents had to suffer from the flooding. Item 8L. But I certainly would like some clarification from staff or whomever. The original pump in there was 11,000 gallon per minute pump. This is for Butts Pond. All of Midtown, especially Newtown, relies on this pump. It needs to have a minimum of 2 pumps. Now, I'm reading redundancy, but I'm seeing they're replacing the 11,000 gallon pump with a 10,000 gallon pump, gallons per minute. And I'm just not understanding exactly what the rest of this project, because the rest of the details are not there. I just see $250,000 being spent to replace one pump. So if there's any explanation from staff, but we need to have 2 pumps fully functional at all times with backup power, because the city of Daytona Beach, and especially Midtown, Newtown area, and with all the properties that you've been approving to build on, and more stripping and burning and more runoff water, And with this pending industrial park coming, all that water is going to be coming through this pond area. I cannot emphasize how important this pump is to the city of Daytona Beach. Please go carefully on this project and make sure it's done correctly. Thank you.
And that was my only speaker for the consent agenda.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'd like to pull 8I for discussion.
Oh, that's for the core? Oh, what he just talked about? Oh. Okay, there's two.
After
Two pumps, not one, but okay. You'd like to pull that one?
8I.
Okay,
Which was part of the CR.
yeah. All right, vote on it separately. Okay, any other comments or questions, anything else? All right, we have a motion to
I want
approve.
to say for the record, Commissioner, that is the one that was in the CRA that you voted.
Right.
No, so she's pulling it off the consent.
Yeah, I have just a comment. I don't want to pull anything. On the consent agenda 8D, I would just like to give a shout out to Congressman Walz, Senator Rick Scott, and Senator, oh my gosh, Rubio, for their recommendation letters for this grant for the fire department. And that's it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't actually have a motion in a second yet.
All right, I need a motion and a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, Commissioner Reed and May in that order.
With the removal of 8I.
8I.
Yes. Mhm. All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna go right to 8I, which is redevelopment and neighborhood services, approval of the purchase contract for one parcel with addresses of 125 and 127 North Helm Street. A resolution approving the purchase of one parcel located at 125 and 127 North Helm Street, from North Helm Place, from Edward King Lathan at a purchase price of $220,000 plus up to $12,000 in associated transaction costs, subject to terms and conditions of the as-is residential contract for sale and purchase, approving the contract, authorizing the city manager to execute documents and take such action as may be necessary to implement the contract and accept title to the property, and providing an effective date.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Reed. I believe the second was from Commissioner Parrish. May? Okay. I didn't see him. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions or comments? All right. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to pull it because it was part of the consent agenda. I voted no on it, so
Wants to
if
vote
I
no
would have.
Again, is what I understood.
Okay.
Okay.
Could have did that then? Oh, anyway. Aye.
All those in favor, let's revote. Have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Okay, motion carries 5-2.
Okay. We're gonna move on to our public hearings. Item number 9A is the Finance Department Budget Division, fiscal year 24-25 property taxes and budget for the city of Daytona Beach. The first resolution public hearing is a resolution tentatively determining the amount and fixing the rate of taxation and making the annual property and ad valorem levy in the amount of $5.9300 per $1,000 of non-exempt excess value for the general fund operations of the city of Daytona Beach for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, and the voted debt service millage rate of 0.1574 and providing an effective date.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
And I don't have any speakers for this resolution.
All right, do we have any comments from the commission?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just a few for the record. I pretty much know most of these answers. In our budget, you want to answer this, via Chair? In our budget, we'll be hiring 5 more police officers.
Yes,
Fire department, 3 more.
that's correct,
Code 1.
correct.
And resurfacing our road, how much is set aside for that?
I can't remember the actual rate that was set aside, but we continue to move it up beyond the 400,000 that was originally set aside. And then our Andy Holmes may be, not Andy, Andy is in the back, but I think we set aside another, Drew has it. The total, did I say 400,000?
For the road resurfacing, that's $473,756.
Okay, and for the auditor?
That is funded also.
Okay, and how much is that on there?
I believe it is funded at 60%, assuming that they wouldn't take seat in October. So by the time you advertise and the commission interviews, it would be later on within the year.
Okay, and that also is funded for them to hire their own staff?
The staffing for that position is not included, as they would just be getting their legs underneath them. And so in fiscal year 25-26 is when we anticipate, but we have other staff that could flex to support their functions.
Okay, and as a commission, we discussed in September of 2023, Mason Avenue Phase 1 is going to be, the construction is scheduled for fiscal year 2025. And in our September 20th, 2023 commission meeting, I had brought up about the Seabreeze Bridge needing painting, and if everyone was in agreement to have that bridge painted and have that in the budget at the time, and it seemed like everyone was in agreement. Actually heard you, Mayor, on a podcast on June 25th, bringing it up, that it was going to be in our budget, and that was one of the main things is, well, we've all agreed, concentrating on our beachside area. I wouldn't want to have Mason Avenue looking great and our bridge still looking the same. That bridge nothing has been done to the Seabreeze and Oak Ridge Bridge since 1997, since it's been built. That's 27 years now. Now, the ISB Bridge, the city did, some of you might have already been here because Mr. Chisholm was here. We actually painted that bridge 15 years ago. 2016, it was 15 years ago. And we still have the Seabreeze Bridge looking the same since 27 years.
Do we own the Seabreeze Bridge?
No, we brought that up. It's DOT, but
Are they gonna reimburse us?
DOT doesn't do any cosmetic work. We've brought that up before. On the cosmetic, especially someone has repainted that bridge since it's been built. And I'm sure DOT didn't come in and paint the columns and everything, which I showed pictures in 2023, if anyone recalls. So we would be responsible, and I did send an email over to VHR and a few others showing that DOT is not taking the responsibility of painting that bridge, any cosmetic work. That's why we did the ISB bridge as well, and some of you might have been here that voted on that. So I think David Waller is in the process of getting an estimate that should be ready by Friday, and since it's not budgeted, we could take that out of the reserves.
No, that is a decision you all made. The basic numbers we have right now is just the top of the bridge is 451,000. That does not include the
That's
columns.
Boat Bridge.
And this is, as we stated, DOT, this is not a city bridge. If you all decide you want to paint it, we would have to find the resources to do that once we get the bids. And we will have to go through an RFP process if that's the desire of the commission to redo that bridge.
And that was one estimate. So I would like to see more, when we put our RFP out, because I know the ISB bridge, we actually did that one when Chisholm was here for 95,000, which we did have to come back with 2 more resolutions. So the total of the ISB bridge was $161,000 we paid, and that was back in 2016. So I would like to see a few estimates, and if you guys are still on the same page.
Well, I certainly said that I want to see the bridge painted, but I don't want to see it painted for $500,000, especially not now. We got a couple other things that's going to come before us tonight, and then we got a very lean budget year as it is with the raises that we're appropriating. This is a lean year. When will Seabreeze be, when will they, well, not Seabreeze, but Mason?
Phase 1, next year.
Phase 1 starts
2025.
next year?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we, well, I don't know. I mean, I have to see what the rest of you think. I know what I think. Yeah.
Oh, they tell me turn my mic on.
We're talking about both bridges, Seabreeze and Oak Ridge, right?
Correct. That was the price.
Which is the reason that it's double of,
Correct.
more than double
One
what?
bridge, that's right. That's why it's double.
And
You're right.
Oak Ridge,
Yeah.
is that the Main Street Bridge?
There's two bridges.
No,
That's all
Where's Oak
Seabreeze.
Ridge?
No, it's the other
Oh,
bridge.
because it's a
Seabreeze
Y?
is
Right.
two bridges.
Because it's a Y.
It's
Used
two
to be
bridges.
one, yeah. And we have to consider the traffic too. Having to block that, well, we don't have it for this year anyway, but we do have to consider that. Having to, the access and the waterway for folks going up underneath there. All that has to be accounted for.
There will be things we would have to work with FDOT and our legal department because we do not own the bridge. The bridge belongs to FDOT. They've stated if we were to go and paint the bridge, we will be responsible for maintaining it going forward.
we already are responsible because someone has painted that bridge, which I've sent you pictures of when it was originally built. And DOT is denying coming in and painting those columns blue. And I showed everyone pictures in 2023.
Well, who
I
did?
have an email. Do you remember that? So they're not going to paint it. Someone has painted it besides DOT. And unless just someone off the streets decided to start painting the bridge, I can't see anybody doing that except the city. I mean,
So in your research, you didn't see where the city painted it?
city, I've asked and no one's taken responsibility.
Okay.
And DOT has given me, every time, they've painted some joints and stuff, but they did not paint those columns blue. And actually, I don't know who painted them because they're all different colors of blue. But, and I do have the original pictures of when it was actually built. And actually, it was white.
Well, I think the commissioner is bringing up a point that is valid in the sense that we want to see the bridge painted. But I don't think we have an appetite to paint it right now. Because I haven't heard anybody say they have an appetite to paint it now. Have we voted on what the millage is? That's
This is what we're on right now.
that's my point.
Yeah.
So we voted on it.
It's not
We
even.
can't
in the-
go backwards.
Yeah,
It's not even in the budget.
I know it's not in the budget and we have, so it's kind of,
And this is the why I brought it up on September
did.
2023. And you brought it up as well, not that long ago.
You did.
So I don't know if we can actually start and budget one bridge and then budget the other one another time, but, I mean, that might be something to look at. It wouldn't be so bad.
Okay. Well, you still will have to do your process. That doesn't, just budgeting, it has nothing to do with your procurement process. And how much was the,
I think Andy or Mr. Waller are in the back, if they would come out and give the numbers of just the basics
Because I believe that that might be reasonable.
Good evening, David Waller, with
No,
Public Works
it's-
Department. What I've got today was a verbal quote from our continuing service contract painter, and it was just under 450,000 was his estimate. I'll have a formal quote in the next few days, and that's just to paint the bridge deck up. That's the barrier walls, same as we did on ISB. That number does not include any of the underside. It does not include any of the columns or pillars that go down to the river. And he is working on that quote. He's working on some vendors with barges and other apparatus to get underneath the bridge. So that 450 is top up.
So maybe it's something that we concentrate on one when we get the final, when we do get the estimate, maybe we can bring that back and discuss some more because BH said we could maybe take that out of the reserves.
I said that you all would
I'm
have to make that
interested in-
decision.
We would have to make
Oh,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you said it was in the reserves.
Yeah, I'm not interested in the reserves, personally.
But that's the only place you can.
Not, yeah, but it may be, but I'm not interested in that. Not for this, not for painting a bridge. That's just me.
That's why it's called
I mean,
reserve.
yeah. Well, it is called reserve,
Yeah.
but I mean, reserved for,
Emergencies.
yeah,
Exactly.
something that's substantial. I mean, even if you were talking about buying a pump or something to do with our infrastructure that was a vital, this is not a vital need. It's not even something that we really are responsible for. But it's something that we believe in and that we want to, I believe I'm going to have to pass it this time. My vote is not going to be the budgeted at this time. For one, I know that we're going to have a discussion later about something else, so I can't do it. But what do you all think? Stop letting me just talk. Tell me what you think.
I agree, it's not a priority at this time.
Okay.
I think it potentially is a priority if we're saying that we're focusing on beachside, and
We are
since it's
saying-
going to be an entryway over and an exit, I think would be a good thing. We're already working on ISB, creating that entryway as we head into A1A. I think it's a priority.
So you think it's a priority now? Okay. We are saying that. We do want to focus on the beach side. Mhm.
This time, we need to just let it rest a little bit and see if we can't negotiate with FDOT about being of assistance with that. For us to pay all that money to paint that bridge when it belongs to them, to me, just does not compute. It's their bridge. They need to make it pretty, and we need to put heat on them to get them to do that.
Let me ask you something. Who paints the other bridges in the communities, in our community? Have the other cities painted their bridges? Could you tell me that? Do they paint? Does Ormond and Port Orange and New Smyrna paint their bridges?
I can't speak to those specific bridges. I know that like Veterans Bridge is owned by the county, so the paint that's on there, they painted at construction, and they continue to do maintenance on that bridge. And the county owns the Main Street structure, and since it's a steel bridge, they do paint that one as a preventative corrosion control. And the other bridges in our community are owned by FDOT. I can certainly find out. I know New Smyrna's got a couple painted bridges, and I know the one in Port Orange was done by the state, but it's a steel structure, and steel bridges have to have, as part of their maintenance program, has to be painted. That was done 3 or 4 years ago. They had the lane closed and they had it tented for seemed like many months. And that's a steel structure underneath it they were painting. I'm happy to check with our neighboring cities and see who's painting and maintaining their bridges for you, though.
And we still will bring back the RFP in we will still bring back the information so you all this year could still look at it and see how do we go forward with it partnering with FDOT or with the city if that's your desire. We'll still do the research and bring back information. Just won't be a part of the budget.
And as soon as I have pricing, written pricing proposals from our painting vendor that he can be held to, I'll share them with Mr. Fiacher, and he can share them with you guys, so you can see really where the numbers are and what it's inclusive of, so that you have a clear picture of what you're recommending. Because I think a lot of, there's two big sides to this bridge. There's the part you see when you drive over, that's the deck up, and then there's the part you see from the parks on each side. And you see as a boater coming in the town, and that visual, and what you see from the two parks underneath it, and that's that under substructure and the large columns, and that's going to be significantly more expensive than the top part, just logistically to get there.
So you're telling me that the paint that both bridges will cost over $1 million?
I expect it'll be significantly, yes, sir.
So now you get a better perspective.
Consider the amount of traffic we get. I mean, if you look at it per person, the number of people who use that bridge, local people going to work, we double our base every single day with the events and people coming to visit. It's actually a pretty good investment.
$1 million?
If we're going to invest, we're going to invest. This is, if we could maintain it, we would maintain it, obviously. I mean, we would talked a while back about cleaning it. I think Jenny brought up, can we at least clean it? Can we scrub
Like
it? Can we
pressure
do
wash it or
anything?
something?
It was
Exactly.
cleaned. It didn't-
So, and it's funny, I was driving on Baloo Road. I looked up and it didn't look good. And I went, okay. So I'm glad it was brought up.
Won't I make a motion that once they get all the figures and a few estimates, just not one, and we'll discuss it more?
We don't need a motion for that. I'm in agreement with that.
Well,
No.
it seems like we do need a motion, because when I don't make a motion, or someone doesn't make a motion, we never see it again, and, I don't remember anybody voting. So I'd like to make a motion to have David come back with a couple estimates.
We can't do that in the middle of the budget. We're on the budget item.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can
We
do it
can
after.
Okay,
that.
I'll
Your
do it
comments.
after.
But let me say this to that. We're here and we talk about whatever we say we want to talk about. So even though we talked about it a year ago, when you show up with the numbers, I can talk all that I want to talk when I go on the radio and say, yeah, we're gonna get that bridge painted. When you show up and you tell me that it costs $1 million, then I'm, or maybe $1 million made a lie out of me. I don't want it to, but I'm just saying. So whatever we say we want to talk about, we're always going to talk about it. So it doesn't matter to me, but if you think it requires a motion, fine. But I just wanted to always be
Yeah,
known.
I don't believe that, there's two bridges. I still
Yeah,
don't
that's
believe both bridges are gonna be $1 million. I mean, to do both bridges. When we did the ISB bridge, actually, you can look in the paper all over, it was 95,000. We had two different resolutions that came back, 61. I just don't see it. And I know the ISB bridge, is 3,008 feet in length. The Seabreeze Bridge is 2,290 in length, and the Oak Ridge is 2,320 feet in length. They're all the same height, which is 65 feet. I just don't see it, but I could be wrong. That's why I said we need to come back with a few estimates, and I don't want to just see one estimate.
When did you say that last one was painted, that you said?
Actually, the ISB bridge was built, when was it built? In 2001. It was painted by previous city manager Chisholm in 2016, which that was 15 years ago. The Seabreeze and Oak Ridge Bridge was built in
2016?
No, it was 8 years.
15 years ago. 15 years after it was built. No, excuse me.
2001 and 2000.
Right.
Okay.
And then the Seabreeze and Oak Ridge Bridge was built in 1997, and we haven't done anything, and it's been 27 years since it was painted.
Well,
And
something-
neither of the bridges the bridge is not in a CRA. Right? No, I didn't think so. Is it? Oh, it is? What CRA is it in? Baloo?
No, the Seabreeze Bridge. Yeah.
Okay.
Can a staff member answer the question?
Can you answer the question, staff?
Seabreeze, I think it's in the blue.
Is either one of them in a CRA?
I know, man.
I don't believe either Seabreeze or Oak Ridge Bridge are in the CRA. And even the ISB Bridge, it touches two CRAs, but I think the boundaries, I would presume, don't cross the river because they're separate. General funds at the time paid for the ISB Bridge project.
See, that's the kind of thing.
And then the ISB Bridge, they had to be more careful too because of the mosaics that's on both sides of those bridges too. Which are very.
Okay, we'll come and do exactly as you propose. All right. Do we have any other speakers?
No, we don't, not on this item.
All right, then we had a motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner
All
May.
right, do we have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, where can we find money to lower our millage rate?
Huh?
Not with all these things we got planned.
I don't see that. And I usually am the one that want to hear that
What
from
I
y'all.
had planned, it ain't happening, so I'd rather see us try to save our millage rate then.
It's not that much.
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1.
Okay, we're gonna move to item 9.
She wants to do a motion.
Okay. Did you want to do your motion,
Do your
Commissioner Cantu?
motion.
Oh, yes, I would like to do a motion for, is it on? Okay, I would like to move a motion to have Public Works come back with a few estimates on the Seabreeze and the Oak Ridge Bridge. See how much it's gonna cost us to paint it.
That's okay.
So moved.
Okay.
Well, you say second. She made-
Second, sorry,
And have a discussion.
We have a
second.
motion, we have a second. Do we have any public
I'm
comment?
sorry, who was the second on that?
Henry.
Henry? Okay.
No public comment? Okay. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the second part of the 9A, which is the resolution. This is the resolution tentatively adopting the budget for fiscal year October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025 for the city of Daytona Beach, prescribing the net sources of revenue in the estimated amount of $369,209,175, setting forth expenditures and transfers in the amount of $369,209,175, of which operating expenditures total $277,863,663, transfers $66,503,740, and capital expenditures at $24,841,770, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
We take the motion from Commissioner Henry, we'll take the second from the motion from Commissioner Reed. We'll take the second from Commissioner May.
Okay. And I don't have any speakers on this item.
Do we have any questions or comments from the commission? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1. We will adjourn this meeting for the DDA to take our seats and do their business. What do you call it?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 4th meeting of the City of Daytona Beach Downtown Development Authority. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Quinita May. Here. Cheryl A. Cook. Here. Doug Martin. Here. Michael Schnaps Tyler, Chair.
Here. So we have all 4 of our members, so we can move forward. Mr. Thomas will give us our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. Downtown Development Authority. I'm Ken Thomas, Redevelopment Director, City of Daytona Beach. The DDA is projected to receive revenues in the amount of $391,799 in the ad valorem tax revenue based on 1 mil tax rate, which was recommended by the DDA board at your August meeting, which is a 0.94% tax increase from the rollback rate of 0.9907. The total budget, as indicated, is $391,799, which includes $147,291 in payments to the downtown CRA, which was returned to the DDA by an agreement that we have. The budget includes $182,000 and $417,000 for marketing of the downtown area, promoting and special events that we have throughout the year, and $15,000 for the Esplanade Market that is hosted once a month, and we're moving that to twice a month at the Esplanade facility. And no funds are proposed to be allocated from the Downtown Development Authority unreserved balance. And that concludes my report.
Okay, do we have any questions for staff? Okay, this is a public hearing, so do we have any speakers?
I have one speaker, Mr. John Nicholson.
Okay.
No, that was a mistake. Staff was supposed to change it and didn't, so that was supposed to be 9A.
Okay. And we have no speakers this item.
Okay, we have 2 resolutions to consider, so can we have the first?
So the resolution public hearing, a resolution tentatively determining the amount and fixing the rate of taxation and making the annual property ad valorem levy in the amount of $1.0000 per $1,000 of non-exempt assessed value for general fund operations of the Daytona Beach Downtown Development Authority for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, increasing property taxes by 0.97% and providing an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Can we have the second resolution, please?
It's a resolution tentatively adopting the budget for fiscal year October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025 for the Daytona Beach Downtown Development Authority, prescribing the net sources of revenue in the estimated amount of $391,799, setting forth expenditures in the amount of $391,799, and providing an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion, a second on that motion. Any further discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. That concludes our business, so I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will reconvene our regularly scheduled city commission meeting.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 9C. It's the Growth Management and Planning Department, Affordable Housing Fee Changes, LDC Text Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending section 6.22 of the Land Development Code relating to affordable housing to include administrative authority to reimburse development and impact fees for affordable housing projects that do not qualify for fee waivers, establishing procedures and standards, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Reed and May.
And I do have a speaker,
We'll hear from the speaker.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. John Nicholson. Thank you.
And 413 North Grandview Avenue. I have a problem with this. It's basically a catch-22, all right? Hopefully, if this is done right, you will attract families, you will attract young people to be able to afford housing. Those are the exact same people that need parks, that need the police, the fire, the roads, the general funds, all of which will be waived. So they need these things, but they're not going to have to pay for them. So the rest of us will pay for the amenities or the necessities that the affordable housing will require under this. All right? We had a nexus study, and unfortunately, it was changed, and you didn't get the information that you needed. The status and the kinds of housing that are in Daytona Beach was not in the nexus study. All right? Who do you need to supply the affordable housing to? Is it our seniors? It wasn't in the nexus study. And you all are aware that the Windsor, the Maley, the Catholics, the Baptists, the Orthodox, the Anglicans, they all have senior housing, but it wasn't in the nexus study. So we don't know whether it's the seniors that are in need of the affordable housing, whether it is the recent graduates of college that are just starting out that needs the affordable housing, because they're all different. You can't work on a system to solve a system that you don't know exists. So I understand that you're trying to get people to build affordable housing, but what's the terminology for affordable housing? Is it 300,000, 400,000? What is affordable housing? Because I'm told that you can't build housing for under $250,000. And for a lot of people, $250,000 is not affordable, let alone $350,000. So those things we have to look at. And I know you're going to pass this, but we need to look at who we're marketing to and what we consider affordable. Thank you.
And that was my only speaker for this item, Mr. Mayor.
I don't need anyone to tell me that we need affordable housing. I don't need a nexus study. I don't need anything like that. I see it. I live it. It is the most pronounced problem in this community, period. So we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Going to move on to item 9D. It's Growth Management Planning Overlook Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an ordinance on first reading, public hearing that will require a vote. An ordinance adopting a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment in accordance with Chapter 163, Part 2, Florida statutes, with regard to 3.2 plus acres of property located at 100 and 101 Seabreeze Boulevard, north and south of Seabreeze Boulevard and west of Halifax Avenue, amending the future land use element Neighborhood B development policy to allow for greater density of development of the subject property, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And we'll need a motion to transmit to the state for further review in accordance with Florida statutes.
We need a motion for what now?
A motion for transmittal to the state for future review in accordance with Florida statute 163.318411.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Cantu, and Reed in that order.
And I have no
Commissioners?
speakers for this item, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. No comments. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Going to move on, and for the record, the public hearing and final action is November 6th. Moving on to item 9E, it's Growth Management Planning Department, Daytona State College Special Use Permit. This is a resolution public hearing. A resolution authorizing a special use permit to allow for college or university and outdoor facility for field sports, swimming, or court games uses on 5.6 plus or minus acres of land located at 341 White Street, southwest of the intersection of White Street and Willis Avenue, approximately 540 feet north of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard, in the SFR5 Single Family Residential Zoning District, in accordance with 3.4.g, 5.2.b.8.c, and 5.2.b.21.f of the Land Development Code, and providing an effective date.
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner May. You're right. It was Cantu and then May.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicant, if there's any questions.
All right. Yes, sir.
On behalf of Daytona State. I'm here. I want to introduce Dr. Tom Labasso is here with me to answer any questions, and a team of folks. We have a recommendation of approval from your staff, unanimous from the planning board, and we had I think a very productive neighborhood meeting. I wanted you guys to be aware of that. We made significant changes to our plan for the project, but here to answer any questions you guys have about it.
You've already answered mine, the neighborhood meeting, because I know there were some concerns about the sporting events.
Okay,
Mr. Merrill, I just want to thank you for working with the residents to make those changes.
you're welcome. All right.
How long has Daytona State been in our community? Anybody know?
Well, I went there back in the early 80s for a bit.
I was there before.
It's been here a long time. Tom?
Thank you, Commissioner. We were founded in 1957.
1957.
Yep.
And how much did you all increase your tuition this year?
0%.
0%. When's the last time you all increased your tuition?
2010.
2010. Thank you.
What's
Thank
your
you for
student
your
body count?
your leadership, and thank you to Daytona State. You're a jewel in this community.
Tom was going to speak
Absolutely.
on your budget item, but I told him probably not.
Thank you.
All right.
Tom, what's
Thank
your
you.
enrollment?
We are serving about 24,000 students.
Okay.
Thank you. A little bigger when we were DVCC back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioner Reed. Thank you.
Great time. Great time. Thank you. All right, we got a motion. We got a second. And we got two happy commissioners. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item number 10, which is our introduction of ordinances. Item 10A is a Growth Management and Planning Department, 530 Beach Street, Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance adopting a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment in accordance with Section 163.3187 Florida statutes, amending the future land use map designation of 1.34 plus or minus acres of property located at 530 North Beach Street on the northwest corner of North Beach Street and Arlington Avenue from Level 2 residential to retail, so that the future land use designation is consistent with the current use of the property and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this item? Okay, the public hearing?
Yes, I do.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to know if there's any proposed tenant or if they know what's moving into this building.
Mayor, Commission, Jim Morris. Mark Corrett, the applicant, is here, but I believe it's the existing occupant of the property. Continuing on. Is that correct, Mark? Come forward. Come forward.
And please state your name for the record.
My name is Mark Corrett. My professional address is 300 Interchange Boulevard, Ormond Beach. Planning director for Zev Cohen and Associates. My client is the contract purchaser of this property. He has found this underutilized piece of property he's fixing up, and he will be identifying a tenant. He does not currently have a tenant identified for the property.
If there are no other questions or comments from the commission, the public hearing and final action on this item will be September 18th. Moving on to item 10B, it's the Growth Management and Planning Department, Daytona Beach Convention Hall and condominiums. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance approving the Fourth Amendment to the Daytona Beach Convention Hotel and Condominiums Planned Commercial District Agreement to allow for development of a subphase within the Phase 3 of the development comprised of potential retail, parking, and event space, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the Fourth Amendment, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this item?
There. I'm going to talk about the garbage. Yeah, you do that.
Isn't Mr. Merrill here?
He is.
We're talking about at the end of Oak Ridge Bridge, the ugly rebar that's been there for years.
Have you
This
seen it
project-
recently?
Excuse me?
Have you?
I was by there today. It looks really well.
It's getting better, yeah.
Question. How long is this project going to take if we approve it tonight?
So the agreement gives the outside dates, of course, like all PD agreements, and it's 1 year to have permits and begin, and a maximum of 2 years to finish.
Be finished in 2 years
Yep.
after you get permits.
Correct.
That's good. Thank you.
There was also a question from Commissioner Paris that needs to.
Do you know if they resolved the garbage issue?
Within the original PD, it stated that the second tower would have the garbage, because currently the garbage pickup is on A1A, and they're trying to figure out will that be incorporated into this phase to not have the garbage being picked up off of A1A.
Don't know the answer to that, but I'll get it for you. This is first reading, so I'll get that for you before second. Okay?
And we'll make sure to share that information with you.
Okay. All good? Thanks.
Okay, the public hearing and final action on this item will be September 18th. We're going to move on to item 10C, is the Growth Management Planning Department, Kingston Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance adopting a small scale comprehensive plan amendment in accordance with section 163.3187 of the Florida statutes, amending the future land use map designation of 0.25 plus or minus acres of property generally located on the southeast corner of Kingston Avenue and Seagrave Street from office transition, OT, to local service industry, LSI, amending the future land use element neighborhood D development policy to limit uses and reduce any potential negative impacts to the nearby residential area, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this item? Okay, the public hearing and final action is set for September 18th. Moving on to item 10D, it's a Growth Management Planning Department, Kingston Local Industry Rezoning. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 0.25 plus or minus acres of property generally located at the southeast corner of Kingston Avenue and Seagrave Street from residential professional, RP, to local industry, M1, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this item? The public hearing and final action is set for September 18th. Moving on to item 10E, it's a Growth Management Planning Department, Midtown Plaza, Plan Development, Redevelopment. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 0.27 plus or minus acres of property located at 534, 536, 538, 540, 542, and 544 Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard from redevelopment Midtown Neighborhood Center Mixed Use, RDM2, to Planned Development Redevelopment, PDRD. Approving the Midtown Plaza Plan District Agreement to allow for additional uses and all associated site improvements, subject to certain conditions, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this item? The public hearing and final action is set for September 18th. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 11, which is our administrative items. Item 11A is City Manager's Office, Pace Center for Girls. This is a coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund distribution resolution. A resolution authorizing a grant from the coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds, authorizing the budget officer to amend the budget as necessary, establishing reporting deadlines, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second.
I have several speakers for this.
And I know we have a lot of speakers on this item. And I also know that there is an objective that they are trying to get to build a school. But I'm gonna ask, who's the first speaker you got down there?
Sheila Gordon.
Can I, let Ms. Giabi come first, please?
I don't
Because,
think she's
huh?
on there to speak.
She's on there. Isn't she on there?
No.
She's
No,
not? Well,
but
put her on there.
You can
anyway.
make her speak.
And I know other people are here to speak, but we know who's a driving force behind the idea is. And it's nothing, we know all of you are drivers, but tell us, good evening, and thank you for being here. Tell us about the project.
So the project I have been involved with Pace for Girls for a number of years. And the school that the girls go, it's over 100 years old. It's really in a bad shape, especially when we went through the storm twice. And therefore we put a coalition of people together, and some members are here to help with funding a new project. And it's been successful so far. So the school that we are currently belongs to Ormond Beach, and we rented it for all these years that we have been for, I think it's like $100 per year, something like that. But the new school, the cost is about $6.5 million. So we got last year $2.5 million from the state. We got $250,000 from Flagler County, $250 Ormond Beach this year, next year, and we are here to talk to you tonight. And also, we're asking Volusia County in next month for the remaining, and private donations that we are working on. So we have bought the property on Clyde Morris, and the plans are ready, so we're ready to go. We really appreciate anything and everything that you can do to help us to get there.
How many students do you have that are in your school that are from Daytona Beach? Do you know?
We, on a yearly basis, we serve about 50 to 100 girls that come to school. And part of the school so takes middle school and high school girls and heavy counseling and helps them to graduate. But we also made a deal and with, Grace of Daytona State College, I'm so glad you recognize them, what an asset for our community, that our girls, Dr. Labasso was very generous, takes our girls, place them in the dormitory, and then free school, free books, food is free, so they complete ride for free to get their degrees. So if they're interested, a lot of them, they come from very broken homes, complex lives that no girls should go through. I have a daughter too, so I'm very passionate about this project. But the school they're at, if you go see the school, it is, I don't think any human should be in those schools. But they're happy, they come, the teachers are unbelievable. Try to make it better for them.
Are any of the girls here tonight?
Yes, yeah, well, we have a lot, a graduate, yes, sir.
They've graduated?
Yes, and very successful.
Okay. And what do you need from us?
If it would be great if we can get $250,000, then we can move on. And a lot of our girls, they come from City of Daytona Beach. So it would be a tremendous help to us to get us to the next level.
Do you know what the percentage of your girls are that come from Daytona Beach?
I looked at it. I can ask Sheila. 35%.
35%?
Yeah.
And, okay, and Flagler gave you 250,000.
Yeah.
And they have 5 girls.
I think so. 5 or 2.
I thought it was
2,
5 girls. Yeah.
5 girls is what I
Yeah.
think I heard. Okay. Now, I guess I may ask you some other questions. We will now hear from the speakers.
Yes, sir.
The proposal, while you're going back, the proposal, the request, what's this, the staff is, what's this 25,000?
These funds came out of additional ARPA funds, and we know that they were going to be asking individuals from the commission to do contributions.
Let me ask you this, is that all you got? You can't do 50,000 out of those left over? And let me just ask you right off the top.
Yeah, I think we can find the 50, we can have the 50,000 if the
Okay.
commissioners decide that.
All right, if they decide that. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our first speaker is Sheila Gordon, and on deck is Jessica Quattrone.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Sheila Jordan. I am super proud to be the Executive Director at PACE Volusia Flagler since October of 2020. Our girls, as Ms. Giabi shared, are being served about 100 girls a year. A third of them, a little over a third, come from Daytona zip codes. We serve about 100 of them a year, and they are girls with our community's highest needs, whether they are the whole spectrum from trauma from divorced parents to human trafficking. So their social service and counseling needs cover that expanse. They also come to us with an academic need. Most of them have failed a class or failed a grade in the course of their school experience. They are all middle and high school girls. We are not a residential program, so we work with the girls and their families because many of the things that are happening in the girls' lives are outside of their control. So we are fortunate to be a part, us in Volusia Flagler, 28 years old, PACE 40 years old, serving over nearly 50,000 girls across the state of Florida. So we are super appreciative of your support, Mayor, of the Commission support. We definitely invite you, as Ms. Giabi did, to visit our center. But what your gift will allow us to do is build a center that is safe for the girls. Today's news, if you've heard today's news, again, punctuates the need for safety. We also were displaced for 8 months because we're in a 100-year-old building that could not withstand the storm of Ian. So your support will allow us to provide a safe environment to continue the services that we've been providing that are academic and counseling, but also to give girls some additional workplace readiness skills. So thank you so much for your support. I want to introduce one of our alums. You asked about them. We have in Volusia Flagler nearly 4,000 alums. You are going to hear from Jessica Quattrone, who is one of those.
Our next speaker is Jessica Quattrone, and on deck is Decorah Pori.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Quattrone, and I am a proud alumni of PACE Center for Girls. The motto that PACE has, once a PACE girl, always a PACE girl, resonates deeply with me, as does the impact that PACE Center for Girls had on my life. As I graduated Atlantic High School in 2001, I can attest that PACE Center for Girls was instrumental in my success. Before attending PACE, I struggled with behavioral issues, poor grades, and legal troubles. After being thrown out of school and arrested a couple times, I didn't see it possible to graduate. However, the support system at PACE Center for Girls included therapists, social workers, guidance counselors. They helped me turn around my life. I learned so many life lessons as well as academic structure there. After PACE, I moved to Tampa. I graduated from college with a business management degree. I built a successful career in restaurant management. My husband and I recently moved to Daytona Beach, and I had the privilege of reconnecting with PACE Center for Girls. I witnessed firsthand the impacts and continues to have on my life and the lives of young ladies in our community. My little cousin Stella recently graduated from PACE. It was a reminder that the center's continuous success. PACE has helped Stella enroll in Daytona State College, as well as received grants and scholarships to help her move into the dorm just a couple weeks ago. The graduates at the ceremony, their heartfelt speeches expressing gratitude to the PACE staff was overwhelming. This organization makes a profound difference in the lives of these young ladies. However, the current facility that you just heard is over 100 years old, and it's no longer adequate to meet the growing needs of these girls. I urge you to support PACE Center for Girls in the funding of their new facility to ensure that the generations of girls receive the same life changes and opportunities as I did. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Our next speaker is Takora Pori, and on deck is Barb Gertman.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I am Tikoa Pori, Vice President of PACE Center for Girls Incorporated. As Sheila referenced, PACE Center Volusia is a part of a larger organization. So at PACE, we actually have 21 centers throughout the state of Florida. I have my notes. I feel that Miriam already touched on and Sheila's touched on the effective work. So I'm just going to speak from the heart and why I've been with PACE as long as I have and why I travel throughout the state advocating and meeting with other individuals like yourself to ensure that we can serve more girls. I understand firsthand that trauma-informed care is necessary. I understand firsthand that just because a child does something bad does not mean they're a bad child. And if we have the right staff that's working with them, we're able to uncover what's the bad thing that happened to them that's now causing them to react or grades to decline. At 14 years old, my grades declined. My mother passed away unexpectedly when I was 14, leaving behind 5 children. Within 2 years, my father passed away. I was 16 years old with no mom, no dad. And so again, my attitude began to shift because I was under stress. Many of the girls that we work with at PACE are dealing with stress that some adults will never deal with. But when they come into a PACE center, even though our building is 100 years old here, they receive love, they receive empathy, and they work with teachers who are trauma-informed, unlike most public schools. Our teachers, our therapists, our counselors know how to get to the core of what's happening with our girls to put them back on the right track so they become citizens and productive individuals that contribute to the city of Daytona, as you heard from Jessica. We have many zip codes that when we look at our girls, they live in the city of Daytona. And so we're asking tonight, while we're very thankful for the $25,000 and now $50,000 donation, we do ask that the other commissioners take an opportunity to look at additional funding. We're asking tonight that the mayor, $50,000, if we look at there's additional money in ARPA. We're asking our commissioner, Commissioner May, Commissioner Strickland, Commissioner Paris, Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Henry, if you would consider $30,000 from ARPA funding that will help with education, that will help put positive contributors back into the city of Daytona, because we understand the effectiveness of the work that we do. This project is costing us $6.5 million, but we're rolling up our sleeves. We're doing everything we can to make this dream be a reality so that we can serve more girls. When we're able to finish this project, we'll be able to serve 84 girls in our centers and more girls even outside of our centers because of the infrastructure. And so this is what we're asking you to consider tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Barb Gertman, and on deck is Terry White. Is it Barb? She doesn't want to come? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. You're right, Mayor. Miriam Giabi is the person who saw the need. Miriam Giabi is the person who said it's just not fair. These girls have fought through their homes, their households, their families, and they've been fighting a building. 100 years old. Where is the safety? Where is the environment that they can thrive? They're doing it in a bad environment. Imagine what could happen if they could embrace a new facility and a new facility could embrace them. They are your citizens. And they were in places that none of us ever want to be. But when you listen to these stories, you say, there but for the grace of God goes I. This is a time when you, as a commission, can do something that changes the energy in a community and changes young people's lives. For real. This is not a guess. This is not a prospectus. We have years of experience, and we have hundreds of girls who succeeded. We need your help. We need to get it over the goal line. Now's the time. We need to not fight our facility. We need it to embrace us so that they can come back and embrace this community.
Thank
And our final speaker on this item is John Nicholson.
And just a FYI, I did watch the county meeting when they were there, and since most of the girls are from our zip code, the county is expecting us to give money if they want to receive money from the county.
Well, we're gonna give money, something. We already know that. The kind, we always have to drive in this area, so we're gonna drive. Go ahead.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. Yes, I have a problem with this. They're coming to ask us to build a school in another city. That's a problem. I was a little insulted when the woman couldn't name the city that she's asking the money from. She kept saying Daytona. If Bud Asher was alive, he would have corrected her and said it's the city of Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach.
All right?
Okay.
But despite that, and despite that we are not the major number of girls in the school, we were in the past. I believe we were on Magnolia at one point. Magnolia. It is still 35% of their school each and every year comes from our city. If we want to change the projectile of these women, these young girls, I know it's not in our city, but educationally, they're ours. They belong to us. And all the future girls from our city that are going to go there are going to benefit. So I'm asking you to dig deep to see if we can raise as much of that 250 as possible. And I too was at the county meeting when this was brought up. They were upset that it's going to be a school, and the county school system is not paying anything towards it. Apparently, there's a reason for it. They're giving books and whatever, but they cannot give funds. So it goes to the rest of us to fill that gap. And having taught for years, you can tell when there's a reason to give, and this is a reason to give. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is where we are. They would like $250,000 to go towards construction. I would like to see us reach at least $125,000 this year, and then find a way to budget $125,000 for next year. The staff is asking us to use some of our ARPA funds, which they don't want to call them that anymore. What do you all want to call it now, Drew?
Community support funds, sir.
Community support funds. That's a good name. That's what it is, community support. So, I have, and I know how much money I have, and I know what most of it is for. At least $250,000 of it. I have it allocated over the next 4 years. So I'm willing to, I want to get to at least a 125, but we have to agree that we would like to have this budgeted next year for the second half. And then if we can raise 125 out of this year for the ARPA funds.
I'll make a motion to budget for next year.
Okay. So we know we have a budget item next year of 125. Now we need to raise, with 50, we have to raise 75,000 for this year. Yeah, I know. Assign it to the budget for next year. Okay. All right. We'll just assign it to the budget for next year. Now we need to raise 75 for this year. I will ask my colleagues, those who can.
Vote on this.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a motion? Who made the
Yeah,
motion?
we had a motion and a second.
Commissioner Cantu?
And May.
Who made the second? May? Okay, so we have a motion and a second, 125,000 for next year. Oh.
Okay.
Henry? Okay. All right, do we have any, we've heard speakers, but do we have any speakers on this item? It's an item that we're voting on, so we have to hear from folks. Okay, all those in favor, let the motion, of the motion, let it be denoted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. This motion carries 7-0. So now we need to raise $75,000 to go along with the 50,000 that we're budgeting from ARPA leftovers from this year. I will donate from my ARPA funds, and then that leaves the 5 of you who I know have some money left, and you make a way.
Not everybody have money up here.
That's why I'm going to use her money.
Yeah.
Because I gave
But I said 5, I didn't say
250
6.
for a file vest.
I know one that doesn't have anything, but we're trying to get to, you 5 find a way to get to 50,000. I'll take from the mayor's account 25,000, then all we have to get to is 50,000.
Mayor, I'll give 10,000.
Okay,
I'll give 5.
okay.
But I want to say something. I really appreciate the reason I'm doing, because I really think about when it comes to investing citizens' money. What I'm appreciating is the fact that it's continuing for a few more years at the behest of Daytona State. I know that at the end of that, they're going to finish with something. And I like the fact that the resident left and then came back to Daytona Beach. I like the fact that that is then being returned.
I like that person came back, because we always want Daytona Beach to be home and to be a place that you believe you can come back to. And that resonated with me as well. Okay,
Okay, you did, it was 50 that we're voting on instead of 25?
no, we got 50 from the ARPA
Right.
funds.
And then
that
how
were
much
residual.
did you give?
Yeah, she got it. I'm 75, 25 from me,
25?
So that
10.
leaves 50s, yeah.
15. Okay,
Who's
I still
15?
need 35,000. 10,000 from Commissioner Parrish.
Gotcha.
I'm counting. 5,000
I
right
thought the
here.
mayor said he was giving 50,000.
25,000 is what the mayor said.
Oh, okay.
25,000. 5,000 from Commissioner Reed.
That's 95.
How much do we have left?
That's, I need 30,000 more.
30.
Oh, God.
30,000.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to say this before I say do anything, and that is that where children learn matters. Where young people learn, it matters. And the school that I'm teaching at this year was a brand new school. We went into it on the first day of school. The maintenance people were still there putting things together on the first day of school. And the attitude of the children is different. How they learn is different. How they take pride in their school is different. And I always believe that we should give children, and these girls are still children, that we should give children an environment that is worthy of them. And so Stacy doesn't have any money. She's broke. So she's volunteering my money, so I'm going to give 15,000
Okay.
from me and Stacy.
So,
Me and Stacy.
so where are we now?
We're at 110.
We need
We're
15,000.
So how much more do you need?
15,000.
15? Just 15? I'll give 20 then. I'll
You'll
give
give
20,
20?
Paula.
Okay.
Go on.
Oh, come on.
You can't be going over the envelope. I know from the next year's budget. Can't, you can't do that. Because this is what happens. We've already budgeted the money for the next year, and then the manager's gonna take that 5,000 back.
That's great, appreciate it.
And this money is for community investment. You don't keep the $5,000. You're gonna have another project. Sorry.
15.
15,000 is what we need. Okay. 15,000 is what we need. We take what we need. You got other.
But he had your peer pressure.
You have other issues.
I'll take your 5.
Okay.
I already got it for the
To the team, and I know that's what you all are, you're a team, because I heard from you, I saw Kelly, Quietech today, and I said, I know you're coming today to beat us up. Said that jokingly, of course. And have heard from Barb, received every message and read it with intent of getting this done from the first call. So I know you are a team. And I work in a public school like my sister. And I am amazed every day that I go to that school and it's 12, 13 years old, and I still look at it and I think, man, who designed this school? It's like a Taj Mahal of a school. It's a beautiful facility. And I know who designed it, and I tell him every time I see him. Carl Persis was principal. And so he designed it, and it's a great place for kids to learn. And I don't want us to ever get hung up on where kids kind of come from, because what you'll learn about if you work in a school setting is that many of these kids are like Daytona Beach residents in that they're high transition volume, they have high transitions in their lives. They're here today, they're in this zip code tomorrow, but ultimately they all belong to us. And so the fact that the school where it's located doesn't matter, and the fact that the work is our work, and we appreciate those of you who are on the front lines doing the work, and always know that we are co-laborers in this work, and we appreciate you. So,
Take the motion and resolution.
we have a motion and a resolution.
We already had a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner May to approve the resolution. So if they will amend the motion to include the $50,000 from the city manager's office, and then the $75,000 from the commissioners in that motion.
Yeah, can you do
I'm
that?
in my motion.
All right. All right, we have a motion, we have a second amended. We have no comments from the public. I have to ask, do we have comments from the public?
We already took
Okay.
public comments from.
All right. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, the same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
We're going to move on to item 11B. This was added to this evening's agenda. 11B is the Economic and Strategic Opportunities Department. BCU Biketoberfest Master Plan Application Resolution. A resolution relating to the Biketoberfest 2024 Master Plan for private property approved by Resolution number 2024-264, approving the application for Bethune-Cookman University for the temporary outside parking and outside activities, subject to conditions, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
I have no speakers for this item.
All right. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. That was our final agenda item tonight.
All right. Who did we start with tonight?
Commissioner May.
Commissioner May.
And I attended the Art League on Palmetto, and well attended. I saw a lot of local artists there. Margaret Schnubby did a great job at Dan Schnubly Center. Margaret, one of her daughters, was there, and she had a fantastic, a very nice showing. So that's the first. And the second thing is, please go there. Not many residents attend, I think, or know about it, but they're open to the public certain hours, and they're right in the community, 430 South Palmetto. On September 14th, in the Esplanade, there's going to be a recovery walk. Volusia Recovery Alliance, they're having a walk Saturday, September 14th, so it'll be right downtown. It's their second annual recovery awareness walk. They also do some work with first responders and suicide prevention. So there's also a hotline for that. If you arrive at, it looks like it's maybe 8 a.m., the walk starts at 8:45, and they will have speakers at 11 a.m. And I believe it's a free walk, so hopefully we will see some people there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Candu?
Before we get started, can we pass everyone have one of these, please? Pass it down. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, first of all, could you stand up, how many residents I have here from LPGA? Okay, thank you. You can sit down. You didn't get one? Okay. How many were up here 19 years ago? Probably not, right? That's almost 2 decades ago, correct? Okay, so what you're looking at here is the Grand Champion Plan Master Development Agreement. This thing was done almost 2 decades ago, okay? And if you look on section 2 of this, it's on the back, and it says this thing is supposed to expire within 10 years, if you read the whole thing, unless the city commission, City Commission for a period of not more than 5 years from the date of the initial expiration, the effective date. Okay, so that's 15 years. And then at the very bottom of this, if you read it down here, it says, all development rights granted to this agreement shall automatically expire. Okay, so this is 19 years old, and it expired 10 years ago, and the commission could have approved it for another 5 years, which none of us did. And this Grand Champion Plan Master Development, we keep going by this plan. LPGA has totally changed since this plan was put together. I mean, everybody can agree, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, there's a parcel that, well, first of all, there's different tracks on this. Northwest 12, which is now owned by the city, I'm not exactly sure, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. And in this, that's our city park, Reynos Park. But if you go to this development, it's actually for mixed use, single family. So I feel like we can't be picking and choosing what we develop off this plan. I feel like that whoever comes before us, they need to come in for a complete zoning, because this whole PD is all over the place. There's so many land uses. You could have a motel in the middle of LPGA community. Well, there's also this track, Northwest Track 29, that's going to be coming through. And they're wanting to go by this. And I believe this needs to come in for complete zoning. And the reason why, because it's expired, plus it was 27 acres when you go to this track, okay? And it was owned by Indigo CDD, and the tax rolls separated, but it was still one property in this PD. Then MSKP, Volusia Partners, 2004, they bought it from Indigo CDD. Then the Champion Master Plan came in effect in 2006. Well, it foreclosed they foreclosed on the property in 2009 when MSKP Volusia Partners had it. It got foreclosed. RC Property 12 LLC bought that 27 acres out in 2009. Then in 2010, it sold to HWCGC Development LLC, which they picked up a lot of the different tracts. They actually bought more than the property that I'm telling you about, including Northwest Tract 29. Then 2 months later, they quitclaimed it, GC land, to LLC. Then in 2016, they lost the 21 acres, Northwest 29, on a tax deed to EBP, who owns 21 acres now. And then in 2021, the 5.7 of that 27 acres, Patel bought it. Then Patel sold it in 2022, the 5.7 acres, to Whitewater. Okay, so the problem I'm having, when you look at this thing is expired. We did renew it 5 years later, but we keep going through the same zoning. But in this planned development, it was supposed to be 27 acres. Now, who decides what is going to be mixed family on what lot, what is going to be single family on the lot, what is going to be commercial, or whatever, because this whole plan is all over the map on that 27 acres. We can't tell what was going to be. Plus, whoever owns the 5.7 acres, did they notify EBP, who owns the 21 acres? Because in this map, there's only one egress, ingress, but what I've seen with the neighborhood meeting, the egress and ingress is going to a different direction. So either way, I believe I would like to make a motion for my residents, because there's a bunch of single family. There's no apartments inside of LPGA. I wouldn't want a 3-story apartment looking down at my single family home. And I don't care how many it is. So my residents out there know something is going to be built on these parcels. They're not denying none of that. We know something's going to be built on all this property. Okay, but the problem is, what is compatible to that neighborhood now than 19 years ago? That's something I think everything needs to come in for a new zoning, so we can look and see, is apartments compatible in that neighborhood? Because at one time, this was going to be some kind of town square, and that's why they had the motels and everything. So what I want to do is make a motion for anything that is not developed in this plan, that whoever comes in with these properties that are not developed, they have to come in for a complete rezoning and go through the process. They can't go, there's a reason why PDs expire. I mean, there's a reason for it, why so you cannot come back to a PD that's expired. So that's what my motion is, and I hope I can get a second on this.
Do you all, y'all follow what she's saying?
If I can, for the benefit of the commission, the Land Development Code provides you authority to extend lapsed PDs. You don't have to exercise that authority, and regardless of whether you exercise it or not, somebody could also request through a PD rezoning process to reinstate the provisions of the PD. I don't think you have an application in front of you, and I understand the basis for Commissioner Cantu's concern, but since it appears that there is an application in process, because as I understand from Commissioner Cantu, there was a neighborhood meeting on this issue, and that process will eventually find its way to this chamber in a public hearing, where you have to make a decision based on quasi-judicial criteria, evidence that's presented in front of you by the applicant and by affected property owners. I would reserve a decision on that issue until it's in front of you in accordance with your...
Wait a minute, Ben, I have to disagree. Did you read section 2 of that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what is this PD expired?
I think that.
I'm asking you a question.
Yeah,
Is
no,
the
I'm
P-
gonna
Is it
give-
expired?
Commissioner, I'm gonna give the commission legal advice.
Okay, I understand, but I'm asking you a
motion that the
question.
commission makes based on your recommendation would not be binding on the commission first. And second of all, you don't have any evidence to support a decision that this commission would be making at this meeting. So if in fact you have a majority of the commissioners who might be leaning toward not extending the zoning, the best way to defend that decision is to do it in a public hearing based on the evidence presented in accordance with the law and rezoning. And I think that's where you should end up going, because any action that you take now could end up making that future action
I
illegal
get what
because
you're
of-
saying.
Because of what you're
But
talking
the,
about now.
this is expired, and it said 5 years,
That's right,
and it wasn't extended 5 years later. That's 15 years,
that's right.
and this is 19 years.
Yeah, so let me say that Commissioner Cantu and I did have a discussion on this, you know.
And tell me about the,
Yeah,
and
so
the P is 27 acres. Okay.
the Land Development Code does authorize the commission to extend a lapsed agreement. In that provision on extending lapsed agreements, there isn't a specific requirement that you do that at a quasi-judicial hearing. However, as I told Commissioner Cantu, if this were in front of you tonight as a request to extend this lapsed agreement, I would encourage you not to do it in the absence of a quasi-judicial hearing in the form of a rezoning proceeding, because it's been so many years since the agreement has lapsed. And this is the kind of process where you need to look at the surrounding permitted and existing uses, which have been changed since the agreement was first adopted 15 years ago. So I would discourage you from acting on the motion now, again, because if you pass it, you could make your future action vulnerable. And if in fact the applicant does come to the commission asking for you to renew the agreement without a quasi-judicial hearing, I will at that point advise you that you should do it as to make that decision as a quasi-judicial hearing, for the reasons I just gave you.
So your legal advice is that we not create a policy that prohibits us from hearing this in the near future.
That's right.
So you want us to, you're saying, I get what you're saying. You want us to go ahead and hear from Whitewater. Now, we talked, since this was 27 acres, okay, it was originally, when this was done, it was one owner. You see how it's been all over the map. Now, doesn't that 5.7, which is, remind everyone, there's a lot of wetlands on that, that 5.7 acres, don't they need to notify EBP? Because it was one.
In fact, if somebody's
Right.
seeking to amend a PD agreement, we specifically require notice that's above and beyond a normal rezoning, including notice to the other owners of property in the PD. Normally with the rezoning, the notice requirement is a range, a radius, surrounding the affected property. This PD probably exceeds that range quite a bit.
Right, because it is affecting the 21 acres.
Yeah, so if at the time the request comes in front of you, and it's not coming in to you as a rezoning request, but merely a request to administratively extend the agreement, I would at that point encourage you not to grant that request, but require them to
Okay.
go through.
So
a
you're
rezoning
recommending
process.
this goes through planning department and then comes to the commission for first and second reading? And how do I stop any more development coming through planning on an old PD, expired PD?
You can't stop an applicant from requesting a
Okay.
rezoning. They have the right to request a
But-
rezoning.
Well, I'm saying they can request a new zoning, but how do they keep going off an old expired?
Yeah, so.
That's why we have those big apartments right there on LPGA as well.
Well, what we will do is, we will say what you're saying, but we have to agree to say it. But I believe, this is what I believe. I believe that reasonable decision makers will make the decision that you suggest. That's what I believe. Reasonable policymakers, and we're reasonable. So we can't create a policy that doesn't allow an applicant to come before us. But I believe that once we see it, and once we hear from people, it's not compatible.
Correct.
Those
We all
other
know it's
parcels were not compatible. When you look at them and you know, I know people who are very close to me, who you all will hear from regarding this. So I think let's just do what he's telling us, and let's just be prepared to defend what we know is right.
Now, this is a little bit of a different point. One thing that you could consider doing is revising the land development code language that would currently allow you to extend lapsed agreements with no qualification that has to be done, if it's going to be done through a rezoning process. You could add that as a requirement, and that would foreclose somebody from appearing in front of you and asking that it be done without going through the rezoning process, which right now they could do.
But we shouldn't do that in the case of this situation.
No, but if you directed our office to revise the land
future.
development code to make that change, we would prepare an ordinance to that effect. For what it's worth, my understanding of this case is that the applicant is proceeding
Yes.
with this as a rezoning request. So
A
the issue,
rezoning off the original master plan.
yes,
Right.
is what I understand.
Well, they're rezoning, but it's still, they're trying to do the same things
Right.
that they did before.
Right.
And there are some things that we want to reject out of this. It's a new neighborhood, it's a
like-
new community.
Northwest 12, that's no longer happening in here. It's gonna be a city park. So, I mean.
Again, I think it's really important that all of this kind of factually
Comes
based
in.
discussion occur
At the hearing.
at a public hearing.
Yeah, I think-
In order to make
think-
sure
But
that
I
there's
would like you to
defensible.
draft something. I mean, we can do it after all this is over, but I would like you to draft something because a lot of things have changed. And believe me, if I was a developer or attorney, I'd be doing the same thing. I
Okay,
mean, but
okay,
I'm gonna sit and represent my residents because I know what I would wanna see and what I wouldn't wanna see.
we understand. So let's move on, okay? Because we want to protect make sure we're making a decision that doesn't jeopardize future decisions, okay? All right. Commissioner Henry?
I spoke with a new business owner in Daytona Beach, and the person was so discouraged from the process, and we've talked about this before, of how hard it is to get a business open in the city of Daytona Beach, and I cannot for the life of me understand why it is so much harder in the city of Daytona Beach than in other cities. You can't tell me that it isn't. When I first decided to open my daycare center, it was so hard in the city of Daytona Beach, I gave up and went over to the city of Holly Hill and opened a daycare center within 2 months' time. So I just want some clarity on why it is so hard for people to open businesses. And I've talked to you, the city manager, about this before. We've talked about this before, years before, about why our process is so much different. And don't get me wrong, I don't want people to get to skip the line or not be able to follow what the laws and rules are. But I think a conversation needs to be had about why it is so hard and why people are so discouraged when they try to start. It's not the first time that people have complained to me. I don't know if anybody else has gotten complaints.
I've heard the same thing.
But a conversation needs to be had about it. And I think even when people who try to open businesses go higher up, the people who are below the higher ups are irritated because the nerve of those people to go to the higher ups, and then they still make it hard. They still don't quite do what they've been directed to do by the higher ups. And I think a conversation needs to be had about that in our city because we want to be business friendly. We want people to want to come here and open a business. We don't want to hear people say opening a business in Daytona Beach was so hard until I was on my knees crying. And I've heard it time and time and time again over the years. And that is my only comment tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Reed?
You all, I just want to say that I am honored to be at home and to be able to say that on tomorrow I will be working at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for 29 years. I started 9/5 of 1995. Yes. And to be able to come back home and to sit up here with you all and make a difference in the city in which I was born in, raised in. I think we have a responsibility, those of us who are blessed to get an education and we come back home. I couldn't just sit down and say, well, I'm a sorority girl, I'm a link, and not do anything. So I'm honored to serve my community, honored to serve my town, and honored to serve with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Yes. Commissioner Paris?
I just want to ask Commissioner Henry if they spoke to like our business liaison, because I had 2 business owners that I asked them to speak to Jeff and Kim, and they really helped them out. So I don't know if that's an option to.
No, I don't know if they did or not. I will inquire about that.
They did eventually get with Jeff. That was after a process. If we're talking about the same business owner.
Probably.
Yeah, they eventually got with Jeff, but it took a while.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. 'cause,
So
like,
do you feel, Mr. Manager, that there is any issues with businesses starting here in Daytona Beach?
I think there's a breakdown I do think there is a breakdown when you have a property owner and the business owner, and the property owner is communicating with some of our staff members, and then the business owner is trying to communicate with our staff. And when the business economic development group got together, Jeff was able to help walk through the process, but it really shouldn't have had to go to that point if both the property owner and the business owner were speaking the same language, because the actual business owner was trying to go through the process and hear from different people. In our P&L office, we need to have a better line of communication between the business owner and the property owner, and it should not have to get to the point of Jeff having to walk them through the process. It should all be the same thing from the very bottom. But that's where I think it happened. And it happened within 48 hours after having the conversation with Jeff and moving through the process of making sure that the paperwork was clear on both ends, because the business owner had did what they needed to do, but there were some issues from my understanding with the property owner, but it shouldn't be that way.
For sure, because people end up putting a lot of money into starting their business, and they lose a lot of money when the longer it takes for their business to not be able to get open, and they lose a lot of money. And then we come back and we say, hey, do this one more thing. And technically they've done what they needed to do. The breakdown is with us, and that's not good business as a city, to me. Sorry, Monica, Commissioner Paris.
No, I just want to get that resolved, because you're right, time is money. We want people to make money, not lose money here in the city. I don't have much, just the Convention Visitors Bureau, they're doing fall fine dining days. It's like a restaurant week, but it started September 2nd to October 13th. You could go on their website. It's an elevated food experience for $40 or $50, price fixed for a 3-course meal. Their website is DaytonaBeach.com, or you could go on our website. I believe we have it highlighted also. It's DaytonaBeach.gov, right? Our new website? Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Just a couple things, actually one. There's a couple of businesses over on the East ISB ramp that are suffering greatly because of what the county's doing to that ramp there. I don't know if it would be possible for Mr. Manager to talk to Mr. Manager for the county, or for us to send something to them to see if we couldn't get them to grant some relief to those 2 businesses, because access is difficult. So if we could look at that at some point, would be nice. There was an end of summer bash on Main Street this past weekend. I got there about 8:30, and it was had some attendees there, a few, but right after the fireworks and the band shell activities were over, the people that were over there came over to Main Street, I assume, because the crowd grew quickly, and I think it turned out to be a pretty good event for most everybody. There was a complaint about parking from one of the businesses, the new business, because of the fact that some of their people that had reservations canceled when they saw that they couldn't drive down Main Street and park right there across at 777. But other than that, it seemed to be a good event. And with that, good night.
Good night. Yeah. Two things. I'm going to resume the presentation that I did for several years, where we did interviews and that we referred to them as making a difference in the community. It's where we interview different people who, we being myself, do things that make Daytona Beach a great place to live. So we will be resuming that. And in addition to that, I'm going to start a new presentation where I will go out and visit businesses that are local and small in nature. The first 4 this year that I will visit is that it will be bed and breakfast businesses. So I will go out and spend the day, or probably not 2 days, but 1 day. You got 2 children, you can't get away for 2 days, even if it's what it is. And we're going to video and discuss what makes these businesses unique in our community. So I had a title for that. I forgot what I called it, but I did write it down. But at any rate, the objective of that is to promote small businesses that make a difference in our city and speak to our heritage, who we are. So we will get to know about it because it'll be airing on 199 or whatever our channel is, and it'll be on social media. But hopefully people who visit our city will also get to know about these spaces. So each one of them will speak to the unique character of some region. The first one that I'm going to do, and I spoke with the owner today, is the Abbey. And I believe that it is important that we understand the history of the Abbey as a community. So I will sit down and interview the owner of the Abbey as a part of it. Then I will experience the Abbey, and you will be able to see the things that you could do if you went and visited the Abbey and you went and stayed there yourself, or more importantly even, when we have people who come to Daytona Beach, you can say, hey, there's this great place called the Abbey that you should consider going and staying, and then we'll talk about the things that you can do in the surrounding community. All of this will be produced by staff and will hopefully send another message that we are a city with heritage and a lot to do and just class. I think Daytona Beach, the more I experience Daytona Beach, the prouder I am of Daytona Beach. And I want to share more of that with others. So those are 2 things that are on the radar that we'll be working on coming out of the mayor's office. That concludes my commentary. Mr. Manager?
I don't have anything.
I have one thing, Mayor. One of the commission members asked me to bring up an item for you all to decide as a housekeeping matter. This relates to the redevelopment grant program that you all approved kind of recently, where up to $50,000 can be given for construction and I think an additional $25,000 for design. When staff asked for approval, they mentioned that the grants would be given in the form of forgivable loans, where if you didn't sell the business for the 2-year period afterward and you kept the business active, then you wouldn't need to repay it. But in the meantime, at the time of the grant issuance, you'd have to do a mortgage and a note. So you all approved that. After you all approved it, our office helped staff draft form mortgages and notes. And like we typically do when we draft a mortgage, we included form language that requires property insurance. And one of the first grantees out of the chute was concerned about that because of the cost of the insurance, is my understanding, eats so much into the value of the grant that from their perspective, it kind of eroded the value of the grant. I think staff might have been willing to be flexible on that, but needed to seek your guidance because in this particular instance, the grantee happens to be in one of our redevelopment area boards members, and the belief is that this should be decided in a transparent way so that there's no appearance of favoritism. One thing that you could consider doing in the way of direction is directing that we don't require insurance when the value of the unimproved land equals or exceeds the value of the amount loaned. The purpose of insurance is to protect collateral in case somebody doesn't comply with the program. It would seem that insurance may not be necessary when, if God forbid the building burned down because there wasn't insurance and the land was still there, then that mortgage and lien could still be foreclosed on. So I think at the request of the commissioner, we were seeking some direction from the commission on whether you wanted to require insurance in all instances under this program or give staff some flexibility to not require it when the value of the land would be at least equal to the value of the grant/loan.
I like that last language, but how can you function without insurance in a business? How can you, and how can we responsibly make an investment in a business that doesn't have insurance? I don't know that that's a good policy.
It would be a business decision on your part, to be sure.
When the property's owned outright and the insurance on the property when it's fully paid for, the insurance is $8,000 a year. You have to pay that for 2 years. That's $16,000 that goes against that $50,000 that you of the grant. Really doesn't make good business sense in the long run. I would say that we'd make an exception to people that receive grants that own the property outright with no liens, no mortgages and stuff. The others, they're already going to have insurance.
Okay. That's different than what I thought I was listening to. I mean, that's less invasive. I'll just use that word. I don't know if it's a good word, but, so you follow what he's saying?
I do, but in that situation, you could have somebody who owns the property outright, but if the value of the land doesn't equal or exceed the value of the grant, then the city's more at risk that if the person doesn't comply with the conditions, and the purpose of the mortgage and note is to be able to allow us to claw that back, you may not have enough to claw back. So my take on it, and my understanding is I think this particular grantee would be okay with this idea, is to also stipulate that as an additional condition, that the value of the land would equal or exceed the value of the grant, because there'd still be something to foreclose on if things went south.
A lot of that land isn't worth $50,000, right? This one is. Y'all got a specific one in mind. Okay. Make it work. Whatever commissioner said that, why didn't that commissioner tell us this? Because they felt that this person could explain it better? I don't understand.
I apparently didn't do that.
Who is the commissioner? You?
It would be me.
Okay.
And apparently he explained it better than I did. I guess,
well, I don't know.
Did I explain it better than the attorney?
Well, in a
Maybe
way,
I missed my
you
calling.
gave me a way that I'm a little more comfortable.
Paula, mind your business.
You did. You did well.
Hey,
Okay. So what do we need to do to make it happen?
If there's a consensus, and it looks like everybody's sort of, is there a consensus that you want to have staff drop the insurance requirement under those circumstances, then that's what we'll do.
Is anyone opposed to that?
I was going to suggest that we allow staff to do it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, y'all missed that.
Do what?
Allow staff to evaluate it on a case-by-case basis. Because they're all going to be different.
Staff don't want to do that, and we don't want them to do that. Let's come up with a policy. And these two over here, I don't think they were.
They're not even
They
listening.
kind of closed, it's worn down.
We need more information.
All three of you need more information? Okay. Well, what do you need more information? And you need more information?
Thank you.
I agree with you, but I just want to make sure that it's also on the application so people know what is required.
Okay. All right, we got 1, 2 that don't need more information. And Commissioner Reed, what do you need? Okay.
I'm good.
No,
we got
Commissioner
4.
May said she needed more
That's 3.
information.
That's just 3. Okay. Remember, I always tell you all, I know how to count. 4.
Barely.
4 of us don't need any more information. So
What do you mean more information?
we have a policy.
Okay, you going to leave it like it is?
No.
Okay.
Policy is what the policy that you're suggesting.
Thank you.
Okay,
So we're saying that if you own property, you don't need insurance.
go ahead.
Well, Commissioner, all of the grantees and all of the people who are signing the mortgages and notes are the property owner. That's a requirement of the grant. What we're saying is that instead of, in every instance, requiring insurance as a condition written into the mortgage and note, that we wouldn't require it if they don't already have a prior mortgage on the property, and if the value of the land exceeds the value of the grant/loan.
Okay.
We gotta let these small businesses, gotta help them survive.
Right.
When you look at the price of your property insurance on your home, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely crazy from
Insane.
5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Unthinkable, the price of it. And I get so frustrated because, we have certain components of our government that are not addressing this. We have to address this. People can't afford to live in their homes. And so, when you talk about, I think about property insurance on properties or rental properties that members of my family own. The same property today, the price of the insurance is what the mortgage was for my mother 20 years ago or 15 years ago. That to me is absurd. It's, and so how do people survive? So I feel your pain. And so do we have a?
Yeah, thank you. And just one last item, I will prepare an ordinance along the lines you all discussed in terms of the process for extending lapsed PDs. You won't see that immediately because it would have to go through planning board review first. It's an amendment to the land development code. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, could I say something? And Mr. Fiedger probably can help me. I don't want to say the wrong number. But we've been so supportive of Bethune-Cookman and the football team. Their first home game is this weekend. And I believe they gave away 1,000 tickets today for youth to come to the game on Saturday.
Yeah, I think they gave it to the,
They gave it
County
to,
Schools.
to Volusia County Schools. So they had all the principals and everything. And I just wanted to show that they were giving support to the community.
And they're going to be,
Feedback.
I think, for the game for Clark Atlanta University, they're going to be recognizing for the Clark Atlanta University. They're going to be recognizing our public safety officers and also the city of Daytona Beach. So we'll be sending information out where they're asking the public safety officers. We're going to be doing the honor guard and recognizing them for their service. That's two or 3 weeks out.
Awesome. Great job. Okay. Any other commentary? Yes, sir.
Back to the insurance issue. Do we need to make a motion and vote on it, or is that just going to be handled right now like it is?
I think the consensus of the commission's sufficient unless somebody on the losing side wanted a vote. So there essentially was a vote. And
So it's taken care of?
it's taken
Yes.
care of, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And I don't think anybody was opposed, they just didn't grasp it all because they're asleep. Okay. Is that it? Commission, anything else, Mr. Manager? Mr.
No,
Attorney?
sir.
Okay, that concludes this portion of our commission meeting. At this time, we will hear from the greatest residents and the greatest citizens in any city, anywhere on the planet Earth.
Okay, our first speaker is Thomas Russell, and on deck is Ann Ruby. And I think Mr. Russell left. So our next speaker is Ann Ruby, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Not starting yet.
They're talking.
Well, that's a good thing.
Hi, Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. I'm here tonight with the remaining board members who attended this meeting. Some of them, I guess, got too cold and went home. And we're here tonight to ask for donations to the Beachside Neighborhood Watch Barbecue Fund. And I'm going to let Ted, without whom, Biketoberfest is the barbecue fund we do. Yeah. Thank you, yeah. Because without Ted, who does so much work, I don't know if you can understand how much work it takes to put on one of these barbecues. And Ted is just tireless at it and very faithful at doing it and making sure that our law enforcement officers and first responders have something to eat during that stressful time when they can't get away. So Ted, take it away.
Ted Hordecke, 113 Braddock. And yeah, it's going well. We have a lot of support in the community. A lot of people donate. We feed 125 to 150 officers 6 days a year. We feed from 11 in the morning to 7 at night. We feed all the people that work for the city in that area, that are working the lights, traffic control, any emergency vehicles, fire department, anybody to do with Bike Week at Harvey Station. And it's going well. We have a lot of volunteers, but like everybody else, our resources sometimes dwindle due to food prices. Even though we get a lot of donations, the commissioners, present, past, city managers have donated, and a lot of the commissioners have come out and chopped onions and cooked burgers and washed dishes. But even if you don't come out and work, we'd like to see you come out. The officers got nowhere to go. They're kind of stuck there. They're not going to pay $11 for a sandwich. So we are feeding them. We improved our menu, and it's going well, but we could always use support from anybody who wants to give it.
$250 from the Bike Week funds, Mayor Henry.
Okay.
To support them. Appreciate what you do. And,
250 as well from Commissioner Paris. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, and the officers love it.
250? Okay. Okay.
And you gave 250 from the city manager.
You gave 250 too? Okay.
the city manager's phone.
Mayor
What kind of fund is that?
Henry Reed, May, Harris, Strickland.
Well, thank you very much, and I do like to extend, come out and eat lunch. Come out, you park in Harvey Street, you park your car, whatever you're driving in, a golf cart, and have a hamburger and sit with the police officers. They're working 12 hours, 12-hour shifts, a lot of doubles, but they sit around on the picnic tables and they chat, and it's a good community thing.
So what's been your budget for this?
Our budget, it depends. I've been getting a lot of food from Second Harvest. So I go there and shop for Hum twice a week in Lady of Lords. So what I do is I keep an eye out for anything we can use.
for the police cookout, but it's usually about 250 a day. We quit getting soda pop because it's so expensive, and the police department is starting to supply drinks.
Okay.
But we have businesses on Main Street also donate, and the restaurants.
But that was
It's
656
Main Street Station
times.
primarily, right?
Main Street Station and wherever we can get it. But we have a lot of community support. We collect money every meeting. We average about $80 a meeting every month that the people put in just for the barbecue. But then we bought a new grill. Somebody donated a new grill, one of the commissioners. So we're always hustling.
Did all 6 of us just say 250? So that's your 6 days. The mayor?
Yeah. The mayor
Yeah.
and
So that's the 6 days at
5
250?
commissioners.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those items will be added to tonight's resolution on the Bike Week donation. Yeah.
Okay. Good job.
Well, thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate the support.
You're a good man. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I move that we donate $250 from Commissioner May, Commissioner Strickland, Commissioner Paris, from the manager, from the mayor.
We don't have to do that for Bike Week money.
We already have a resolution.
Yes, we don't have to do that.
Well, who told me to make a motion then?
I did. No, we don't.
Well, technically, you make the decision to spend that money as a group, so, I mean, this is a consensus item. This is like the direction that was given to me to change the insurance language.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, it's less than, yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. Our next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Amy Pyle. I don't see Amy. I know. Whenever you're ready.
John Nixon, 413 North Granbury Avenue. With regard to the boardwalk that was brought up earlier, the reason why nothing has happened on the boardwalk, there was lawsuits back and forth between Dino and George. It was finally settled a week and a half before George died. From what I understand, his family that inherited it is working on a project. So hopefully within the year, you'll hear something about that. Secondly, I looked it up. There's about $6.5 million from the CRA in Main Street. The debt is $2.4 million usually every year. So it leaves about $4 million that can be spent on the beach side to improve the area. The E-zone, years ago we started an E-zone. I don't know where we're at with that. We need to either do it or cancel it, one way or the other. Main Street makeover, there was talk about redoing Main Street like we did Beach Street. I don't know where we're at that. There is also the plan to add a second pier. I don't know where we're at with that one. That would also help drastically. The Main Street Arch is being repaired. For the last month, I haven't seen any work done. I don't know why it stopped. If we could find out why it's not being repaired. The 11 million, we have, what is it, 28 days to spend $11 million. Where are we with the building? That's not, I thought we had to spend it by October 1st. Nope. Good. So we're not going to lose it. On the Main Street Arch, are we going to, is it going to be back to its historic? Because they're breaking all the corners. So there used to be rises on all four corners. Are we going to put them back, or are we going to leave it like it is? I didn't even know they were doing it, but so it would be great if it could go back to the historic reality. And lastly, I went to the festival as well. 35 Bistro is a French restaurant. It's a good restaurant from what I've been told. And there had about 36 people in it, about 8 o'clock. It looked like it was doing well. If you have a chance, go and try it out. Thank you.
Maybe this weekend.
I don't see Miss Pyle here. So our next speaker is William Biddorf, who I don't see here either. So our next speaker is Renee Richardson, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
She own the property down on MLK.
Good evening. Long night.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I am Renee Richardson, 931 South Martin Luther King. I am here about the 386 Transform project. It's not working. It hasn't worked. We are not receiving any funding. We have no idea where the money is going. We have no idea what is going on with the money. So there are priorities from 1 to 8. I fell into priority 8. We had a meeting last month with Midtown that said the guy who came to speak to us, Christopher Williams, said that I probably won't even receive anything, but they don't have any idea as to what's going on. People are not having people to come out to their homes to do assessments. We're in the middle of hurricane season, and I just felt the need that we need to figure out where the money is going. We need to have support from the commissioners so that people can get their homes fixed. Mine is still not fixed. I needed to have it done, but I got so overwhelmed and so sick of it sleeping in a makeshift area that I just put something on the floor and I had to move back in my room. But there's no answers. I just got the approval letter. I put the application in at the initial time, just got the approval letter because I sent an email to them. They just sent me the approval letter that I'm approved in priority 8 yesterday. It's a mess. And even Christopher Williams, when he came to speak to Midtown Redevelopment Board, said that it's a mess. They don't know what's going on. They have not had the staff, but we have offered to have Daytona Beach to help, but they don't want anything. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to go to the county council. I'm just over it. I don't know what's going on, and there's so many people that still need those funds, and we don't know where they're at. We don't know. We're not getting any straight answers. We're not getting any help or support, and it is very frustrating. So I'm asking just all of the commissioners if you could reach out to the county council or if whoever has the money, because we don't have it, and we don't have any idea as to where it's going. I could tell you a lot more stuff. I'm running out of time, but I just felt the need that I needed to come because not just me, it is other people in our community in Midtown that is still not whole. And we're struggling and we're not getting anywhere, and we can't even get an answer. So if anybody could find out or find an answer or do anything, it would be greatly appreciated. And that is my time. Thank you.
So about 2 weeks ago at the last meeting, I asked if we could have a presentation from the county about that program to give us an update. So did they respond to that request? Did we make the request?
There has not been a response. However, our staff has offered, as she stated, and at the meeting, to offer assistance to the Transform 386 to help to pass information on, work with our residents to get the information. So I think she's made it very clear the best option is for our elected officials to reach out to the other elected officials and have the county manager and his team work. But our staff in redevelopment and neighborhood has offered to assist, as Ms. Richardson has said, to help get the information out and work to complete applications for those who can't complete it. If the Transform 386 money is with the county that we don't control.
So they usually have a department head. Maybe it's Miss Donna something, I think. Butler? Donna Butler, yeah. So they would not be willing to come here and just give us an update?
I didn't say they wouldn't have. We just haven't got any information back to come here.
Okay.
Now, I can say something to that. We offered for them to come to Midtown Redevelopment Board meeting. They came last month. Christopher Williams was the person that showed up because.
Ms. Richardson. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So they came present, but
Sorry.
she's wanting them to come and present to the commission, but they presented to your board.
Yes. So Christopher Williams was the person that showed up. I've spoken to Maria Torres, was the case manager for me. And then I got a letter or an email from Courtney Fletcher, who was her supervisor. And then I got Christopher Williams came to the meeting. I have been told 3 times that I could withdraw my application if the process is too long for me. It's a 6-year process or a 6-year program, but we've already missed 2 years and we're in the middle of hurricane season. So I've had that offer 3 times. I was offered to go to another program that is, oh God, I have the email. It came from Ms. Fletcher. She said SPB, I could go and get a loan. And they could see about trying to, SBP, I could go get a loan, and then maybe if I qualified for that, then they could pay it back, you know, the 386 transform, but I didn't qualify for that. And then she also told me that I could call the, this other place that gives, not money, oh God, where is it? She told me that maybe they could assist, not the county, what did she tell me? Mid-Florida. She told me to go to Mid-Florida Community Service for my needs and to be able to receive help and assistance. But I thought the money that the feds gave or provided was supposed to be for the community. But the community is not receiving it. We're not receiving the help. We've had a lady that I spoke to her, she lost her whole house. She had to get rid of her whole house because it wasn't livable, and now she can't even rebuild, and they're trying to give her something less than what she already had. So it's just not right. We're in this all together, and we should be fighting together to make sure. Yes.
Here, this is your county council. Here's his email, his phone number. Email him, tell him that I told you to speak to him,
Yes.
and if he doesn't resolve,
Yes,
tell him you're gonna
I will
call
be
me.
back. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Commissioner May, I will definitely contact George. He's a good partner. We work well together, and I think he will be more than happy to have someone come and present. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And our final speaker tonight is Frederick Brown.
No, he did.
Tonight's meetings tended to wear down a lot of the speakers, so. I had to go home and watch it on the TV. New link, by the way. Anybody that's watching TV, be advised there is a new link. Okay. Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge at Daytona Beach. Thank you, first of all, for your donations to the Beachside Neighborhood Watch. Ted, you can't find a better steward of that money. He gets every nickel out of it, and the police officers, it's fantastic. So, yeah, please come out. I know Commissioner Strickland's there, Commissioner Paris has been there. It's a great event, and the police officers do appreciate it. So it's money well spent. Unlike some of the other things. I heard tonight that we didn't have the appetite to paint the bridge at $450,000, but we did have the appetite to put a $540,000 roof on a $99,000 building on Basin Street. We had that appetite. Don't understand that. That bridge also has a park underneath it. The bridge over there at Seabreeze, Sickler Park. I don't know if it's the most neglected park, but it's right up there with neglected. Took almost 2 years to get the tie wraps off the safety fences that were preventing children or people from falling into the water. It needs a lot of work. You really need to step up the game there. That should be all part of the Blue Road CRA, so again, you say it wasn't, but it should be. Also, beach access, and I brought this up before. I invite every one of you commissioners and the mayor and the city manager to see what it's like to cross the street at the Streamline Hotel and access the public beach. There's 2 businesses on there that have essentially blocked the public access. It's terrible. Why is that happening? It's also a very unsafe cross. I've talked numerous times about in-roadway warning lights. They've got now one down in Daytona Shores. You have some up in Lerman Beach, but for some reason, we can't get our city in gear. Please. Flooding. There's very heartfelt testimony about the 386 Transform project. As some of you may remember, I spoke to you before that flooding happened and warned you that it would happen if you didn't do something, and it did flood, and we do have these problems, and people are still suffering years later. It's sad. It's a waste of money, too. We could have been using that money for other things. You know, I've heard some commissioners talk about, oh, yeah, I feel your pain. The water came right up my yard. No, these people that lived there, they had 3 feet of water in their living room. I asked for answers on that pump system on Butts. I had to go back and reread all the paperwork in there, and I don't understand how you guys are spending the money there. That is the linchpin to prevent flooding in Midtown and Newtown, and you need to be very proactive on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Our final speaker tonight is Emily Nice.
Come on, Emily.
Good evening, everyone. I'll make this very quick. I'm here, as you can probably guess, to support the painting of the bridges. We've asked for this before. Our residential community has asked for this for years. And with the tourism drawing our fine residents and tourists and business owners and business workers to the beach side, this northern bridge, one of 4 bridges, is deplorable. It is filthy compared to the other 3 bridges. So I would please ask that you take into consideration the look that all of Daytona Beach should have for everyone coming to our beaches. Our Daytona Beach name has the beach in it. So please consider the funding for this, because this is maintenance. This is not something new. The bridges were built originally with paint on them. I've seen pictures. They were gorgeous. So this is a maintenance issue that we really should be taking care of. We have many tourists coming from our biggest hotels, Hard Rock, Daytona Grand, the Hilton, the Wyndham, and all of these tourists are looking. And not only that, I'll put one more quick plug in, the aesthetics that has been talked about on the dais here are important, whether it's for our schools, our communities, our business working environments. It affects our mental well-being and our feeling of safety. The feeling of safety is very important for well-being. And when you have infrastructure that is neglected for 27 years, that shows that the city is not prioritizing that comfort feeling, that encouragement, that I want to be here, I want to stay here. So I would just ask that you continue to support any kind of funding for this very necessary, overlooked maintenance item. And I want to thank Commissioner Cantu for championing this initiative. You're not even our zone commissioner, and yet you're pushing for a better beach sides. Thank you. And Commissioner May, thank you so much for your comments and encouragement on it too. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Emily, but I am on the TPO.
Yes.
And so I'm wanting to get the bridges painted, because Mason Avenue, for once, is going to look hopefully amazing, because
Yes.
I know since I've grown up, there's nothing that has changed on Mason Avenue. Nothing.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
since I was born.
Except Wawa and KFC. We were at
Since I was
Wawa.
born.
Yes.
Look the same since I was born.
Yes.
Right, and I want it to be one of our beautiful, I mean, if something happens in the I have 4 years and probably it'll be done. I want to see something done on Mason and that bridge.
I understand that. That's good.
Oh.
Thank you all. Yes, TPO all the way. Thank you.
Good night, Daytona Beach.